What's up, everybody? This is your boy AJTRIP, and welcome to That's a Shoot. It's a different episode today. We just got one main topic, and we're just gonna go straight on through. Earlier this week, Monday actually, Scott Hall, known in WWE as also Razor Ramon, passed away at the age of 63. He went in for a hip surgery. Complications to that surgery caused him to have 3 heart attacks and be put on life support. Around, I guess, just before Raw went on the air, 8 o'clock Eastern Time. The family earlier in the day had pulled Scott Hall off of life support, and just before Raw went on the air, he had passed away. It's devastating. It's devastated the entire wrestling community. Many say that Scott Hall was a genius. He is the one that helped Sting come up with his crow gimmick. He had people say he had a mind so smart for the business, and that he was truly an icon. He is the greatest wrestler to never win a heavyweight championship in the major organizations, at least. He was he was great in the ring, and many people say he was great out of the ring as well. He did have his demons, and he had his issues. You know, with took him a long time to get over it, but with the help of his good friend Diamond Dallas Page, who has helped many people, Scott Hall, Jake Roberts, and many more, just to make sure. Right now, is trying to help Buff Bagwell in his situation. He has he turned his life around for the most part, and he had become a true legend, a WWE two-time WWE Hall of Famer, being inducted as Razor Ramon, and then also being inducted as part of the NWO a couple of years ago, or may even been last year, inducted into the Hall of Fame. It is a tragedy what happened to him. Um, and what I want to do is I want to give you some of my favorite memories of Razor Ramon, Scott Hall. Um, I think about seeing him first in the with those vignettes, and he's doing the whole human gimmick, and he's talking to him, and he's like, "Yo, Chico, say hello to the bad guy," you know, and they were showing they've been showing things of those as to honor Scott. And I mean, I'm thinking of, and this is at a time where I was still, I wasn't smart to the business, so I was still, so for me it was still cheer for the good guys and root for the bad guys, and he came in as a bad guy. But as many people have said, he was so cool that he just generically turned face. You know, generically turned face, and he became a part of, you know, a legendary run. He had that when Shawn Michaels was suspended for using steroids in '93, and they had the Intercontinental uh, title, Battle Royal, and it came down to Razor and the Model, and he won. He won his first Intercontinental Championship. You watch that, and the crowd just cheers. You can go back and you can if you go back and watch it, and it's incredible. That pop is insane, and then that leads into the rivalry with Michaels. When Michaels come back, rivalry. Michaels comes back, and Shawn Michaels does, he jumps Razor Ramon and gives Razor's edge onto the concrete like 2 times, and that was, you know, before the um the Royal Rumble. My first pay-per-view, Royal Rumble 1994. My first pay-per-view, the match with IRS, and that was just an absolutely great um match, in my opinion. It's something that I truly remember. And he is, you know, and then in the match they kind of did the dusty finish where they, you know, RS beats Razor Ramon, but then another referee comes down and says, "No, this is what happened." And then they restart the match, and then RS is just celebrating, and he's on this, and Razor gets behind him and drops him with the Razor's Edge, 1, 2, 3, and he becomes the Intercontinental Champion. And then that leads into WrestleMania 10, the first televised ladder match. Shawn Michaels, Razor Ramon, still the best, you know, one-on-one ladder match to ever happen. I forget where I ranked that the match in my ladder match, in my ladder match movie, in my ladder match video, but yeah, it is still, maybe it's still the best one-on-one ladder match, I believe, in history, and it was just a fantastic match. They went overtime, and you know, the story is that Macho Man, you know, goes, you know, comes back. They come back to the back, and Macho Man goes up to Scott Hall and says, "Hey, ooh yeah, things were going overtime, brother. It keeps other people off the show, yeah." Or something in that vein. And the 10-man tag that was supposed to happen was cut from the show because of that. But it is what it is. And I also think there was another match that went kind of short too. There's a match after that. I can't remember what match it was, you know, but there was a match that's supposed to happen, and then that went short. I don't know if that was supposed to be a short match or if they had to cut it short because of the ladder match. But that might be one of those times where you just, you know, maybe you have to forgive them, you know, for that, because that match may not have been what it was, you know, what it should have been if not for what it was, you know, and it may not have made the ladder match the match that it is today. Now, some might say that, well, maybe it's a little too much because we see ladders everywhere. But I would say this: WWE has gotten away from the TLC match, which I'm very happy of. They're taking that away. They're not taking away the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view. I wish they would do that, but yeah, it is what it is. But back to Scott Hall, and that's so then, and he becomes the Intercontinental Champion, right? Truly matters. Um, and then there is um, at some point down the line, there's a match between Razor and Diesel for the Intercontinental Championship, and Diesel beats Razor for it, and this was shown on Superstars. I mean, the syndicated show they used to happen on Superstars, and we saw it, and Diesel won the Intercontinental Champions, and because of all of that, and then, you know, and what a lot of people have been talking about also is a match, the tag match. Again, it was shown on Superstars or the Action Zone or something like that, one of the syndicated shows, and it was Shawn and Diesel versus Razor and the 1, 2, 3 Kid. It's a tag match that is just incredible, apparently. Um, Something that I watched I watched the video from Watch Mojo, and they did the top 10 Scott Hall moments, and this was on the list. And I vaguely remember this match. So I should try to look for it and watch it in his honor. Um, but yeah, so yeah, and this match was absolutely fantastic. And at some point you know, they try to do the match, but Shawn Michaels keeps getting involved in this match. Shawn Michaels is always getting involved in the matches with Razor and Diesel and things like that. So SummerSlam 1994, the first event at the United Center, Chicago, Illinois, right? Um, and it is what it is, and so we do whatever it was, right? And it is just incredible. Um, I remember I invited my friends over so they can watch it. And was the double main event was the WWE Championship match between Bret Hart and Owen Hart inside a 15-foot high steel cage. It was also Undertaker versus Undertaker. That was a big one, and they did that. Um, but Razor and Diesel, they were on the card in a match, and Diesel had Shawn Michaels. So when you're in Chicago, who do you get to hold off Shawn Michaels? None other than Walter Payton, Sweetness. And Jared Payton put up some of the promos that they cut, on the TV, and it was incredible to see. Uh, with the two, they both had the toothpicks and both flicking them and everything like that. So it was all good, man. And it's Jared Payton remembers that fondly because he was he was a young kid at the time as well, maybe even younger than that. Because I believe he's younger than me. Um, but man, it's unreal. And then my idol, my icon, Walter Payton, and then to watch him walk down that aisle with Razor. And he get involved. Yeah, he get involved, and like that, he was chasing Shawn Michaels around the ring. And at one point, they do the whole thing where the referee gets outside to try to hold Walter Payton from getting Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels gets to the ring. Diesel's holding Razor. Shawn Michaels goes for the super kick, and he hits him. He kicks him, and that was the second one. I believe that was the second one. I believe the first one was in that tag match, actually. The first one was in that tag match where he gives him the super kick um and kicks Diesel, and then the second one is that match, and the third one's at Survivor Series in '94, and that would break up Shawn and Diesel. But yeah, and then they just they did everything, and then he comes back and he's a two-time Intercontinental Champion, and he wins the match. He's a two-time Intercontinental Champion, and he's in the celebrating with. I'm not sure what it was. I thought originally maybe it might have been. It might have been. I think it might have been Walter's brother Eddie. And it was Walter. His brother, maybe his brother Eddie, and then it was Jared. I think Jared was in there as well. And that's the picture on the thumbnail that you see. You see with Razor and Walter. So yeah. That may be my highlight from the match with Razor, and so there was a lot of things we can go through this whole thing. In January '95, he loses to Double J in the Continental Championship. Um, I'm trying to remember when he won it back. I think he might have been at a house show. He might have won it back at a house show, but then Jeff Jarrett won it back later, and then Jeff Jarrett goes on to the In Your House pay-per-view, In Your House 3, I believe it is, and him and Shawn Michaels have a barn burner of a match, and they go out and they win the match, and Shawn Michaels wins the match. He becomes a 3-time Intercontinental Champion, and then oh boy, yeah, he becomes a 3-time Intercontinental Champion. He's second behind Razor. And then later on, Shawn Michaels he gets beat up by those guys in Syracuse, and he has to, get it because he has a concussion, so he has to forfeit the Intercontinental title to Dean Douglas. Dean Douglas then wrestles Scott Hall. Scott Hall beats Dean Douglas, and then Scott Hall is the new, Intercontinental champion. His first 4-time Intercontinental champion, and then he goes on to face Goldust, and we, the story's been told like that, but if you don't know, Goldust, he starts doing the mind games, the homoerotic gimmick, that he was known for. Um, and Scott didn't want to work with him. He didn't want to. He didn't want to work with Razor, um, because of that gimmick. Because he was doing the whole, um, gimmick. So, um, but he did work with him, and he dropped the title to Goldust at the Royal Rumble in 1996. Scott Hall didn't have very good, in all the Rumbles that he was at. He was at 93. He lost to Bret Hart, for the WWE Championship, and of course he won the '94 Rumble. He didn't win the Rumble, but he won the 1994 match. It was against RS. Then he lost the Intercontinental Championship at '95 to Jeff Jarrett, '96 to Goldust. So not a great record at the Royal Rumble for Scott Hall. Um, but so yeah, he draws it to Razor, and at this point he starts to, I guess he starts to have his issues because there was supposed to be a um, rematch, for against Razor and Goldust, at WrestleMania 12, but I guess his issues, and at that point also the 1-2-3 Kid had turned on him. He had been he had sold out to the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase. And at February in Your House, Razor and Kid had a crybaby match where the loser was put, into a diaper. It's, so it was incredible. And Razor won, Kid lost. So Razor was supposed to have a rematch against Goldust. That did not happen, because like I just said, he started to have all of his issues, and he was suspended, I believe, for his failing a drug test. Um, and then also at that point, his contract was coming up, and he had, the WCW was guaranteeing him the money that, that the WWE wasn't, and I think Razor has said this before. He has said that, I think either Razor said this or Nash said this. I'm not sure, but they would have loved to have stayed in WWE, and not go to WCW, but because all they needed to do was, just to match the money. That's all they wanted, to match the money. But WWE at that time, they were, I don't want to say floundering, because they were still making money. They just wasn't making money as much as they needed to. 95 was not a good year. As it's been, on record, Diesel was the lowest drawing, um, WWF champion in history. So 95 was not a good year, and then 96, they're going to go with Shawn, and wasn't that great either with Shawn for drawing. Shawn was having absolutely fantastic matches. I mean, he didn't have a bad match, on his reign at all. Um, Including that 5-star classic with Mankind at, In Your House Mind Games. So it was just, but he didn't have the money to keep raising Diesel, so they walked. He had his last match as Razor Ramon in WWE was with against the new Vader, and he put over Vader. He put him over on his way out, and that's the last time we saw Razor. And I remember seeing that, and I was like, huh. So the next time I saw Razor, or at least Scott Hall, was when I was watching WCW, and he walked through the crowd. He had a mic. He got in the ring, and he says that line that again you've been saying. You don't know who I am. No, you don't. You know who I am, but you don't know who I am here. You want a war? You got a war. And again, not being smart to the business, I thought, wow, he Razor Ramon is on WWE, and I didn't. So again, I just didn't know it, but I didn't think about it. But it was shortly soon after where they showed a clip, and then Nash came. Nash came, and they did that, and it was at the Great American Bash where they were sitting up there, and Eric Bischoff asks, "Well, you guys from the WWF?" And he says, "No, that's from the past. This is a new organization that we're with." And they do the thing where they punch him in the stomach, and then they jackknife him through the table off the stage and everything like that. And then they do the match at Bash at the Beach, where it's Luger, it's Sting, and it's Savage, and it's against Hall and Nash. They take out Luger, so it's just a 2-on-2 match, and then here comes Hogan, and bam, we start the New World Order, and it revolutionizes the wrestling business, and it's and he goes through all of that, and we know the deals, and him and Hall, him and Nash win the tag titles, and they hold the WCW tag titles for over a year, and it's kind of interesting to think about because they, it's been said that the NWO always they mostly won. They mostly won all of their matches. You could not win against the NWO because you had to keep the NWO strong. You had to keep the NWO feeling like they were an actual threat to WCW, and that's true. But there's apparently one time when it's going to be Scott Hall against Chris Jericho, and Scott Hall was supposed to win, but Scott Hall goes to Chris and says, "We're changing the finish. I don't need this win. You do." And Chris Jericho beats Scott Hall, and they go against the thing, and so it's all of it is just fantastic, just fantastic stuff, and that's the kind of guy Scott Hall was. He's the one that had the idea to going back to when he raised Ramon to it up. He's the one that go back to have the kid, beat him, make a new star, and you got a new star on your hands. The 1-2-3 kid, and that's exactly what happened. The kid beat Razor Ramon, and he becomes the 1-2-3 kid, and he's the one of the best of all time. And everybody starts trickling down. We talk about the kid. Six comes down, and Ted DiBiase goes there, and everybody jumps to WCW, and the NWO becomes huge. But I think his problems start to continue, and he's unfortunately isn't able to control them, and at some point he starts to lose it, and we know about all of the stuff that happens thereafter. We can go through everything like that. He goes and he has a thing. He helps Kevin Nash beat Goldberg for the championship with the stunner or the stun gun, and he's everything. And it's he's He's like he becomes like United States champion and television champion, but it's still not working. He's trying his best and it doesn't help. And then of course WCW gets bought out, and he's on a Time Warner contract, and where he's making money guaranteed. The WWE was not going to pick up those contracts, so guys like Hall and Nash and Hogan and Flair and Luger and many others, Scott Steiner, were they sat out. Since they wanted to pick up, they just sat at home, got paid by Time Warner, and then when their contracts ran out, they came up. Guys like DDP and Booker T, they wanted to get on TV right away. Booker T was he was the WCW heavyweight champion and also the WCW United States champion. So they didn't do it like that. And they were telling them you should go ahead and sit out, but it wasn't. So we know about the whole invasion thing and things like that. And then after the invasion is over, Ric Flair becomes part owner. So Vince McMahon doesn't like that. So he's going to inject the lethal death of poison into the WWF, and it becomes to be the NWO. And then Hall and Nash and Hogan come back, and they have a little bit of a run, and it's just not the same. You couldn't do it. You couldn't do what they did with that, even though they brought it back. They tried to, do it, but it was just not like the same. And Scott Hall at the time, he was on a drug that if he did alcohol, it would make him. If he drank alcohol, it would make him violently ill. But unfortunately, I guess maybe he stopped taking it, or he did get violently ill because you know he was on that plane ride from hell, and we saw on the Dark Side of the Ring. He was on that plane ride from hell, and he was wasted. He was hammered, and shortly thereafter, he was let go from the WWF. And again, he was, this is really one extremely sad video where he is blitzed out of his mind on the indie show, and he's overweight, and he is walking slow to the ring, and everything he's doing is slow. The spinning discus punch is slow, and everything like that, and it is heartbreaking to watch. But like I said earlier, DDP gets him, takes him in, brings him in with his DDPY yoga and just transform him, and boy, he was a new man, and he was able to control his demons. He got really good. Um, there's a and then he showed up on WWF television many times after that, and he was great. It was great to see, and actually I think he went to TNA. I think he went to TNA and worked in TNA with Nash. Nash and Six went down there too. The 1-2-3 Kid. They went down there, and so they brought back the band back there. And I saw something. Now I'll be honest with you. I don't know if his run in TNA was before or after his DDP stint. I couldn't tell you, but I know he went down to TNA for a little while and had some works down there. But yeah. So I think for me, and then of course I should tell you about this. He's, like I said, he's had many appearances with WWE since then, and including his Hall of Fame, which his speech has been, talked about ever since then. And it's immortalized, I think, and it's going to be something that everybody talks about, and everybody remembers that line, and so that's great. And then of course he was inducted, that was his induction as Razor Ramon, but now then he was inducted as Scott Hall later. So it was NWO last year. So and then that was fantastic. So two-time Hall of Famer, one of the best workers in the business, one of the best minds for the wrestling business. He was truly amazing, and to everybody, you know, everybody's whoever met Scott Hall, they are one lucky people, some lucky people. Um, yeah, it is unreal to think that they are um, that he's gone. Now, some people may say that the way he lived his life, he might have should have been gone 10 years earlier. Because of DDP, we know we got 10 more years of him, and his friends got 10 more years to be with him, and 10 more years of moments, and 10 more years of stories, and all that good stuff. And I think everybody could can relish that moment. So yeah, it is just it's unreal. So quickly, as I end this, for me, Scott Hall is truly a legend in this business. In my mind, he is the greatest wrestler to not win a major heavyweight championship in a major organization. He's one of the great Intercontinental champions of all time. He revolutionized the business not only with his mind, but with his other things about him and Nash taking guaranteed contracts and other things like that. And then of course with him doing the NWO and everything like that, turned the business up on its end. And I think that was something that the business needed at that time. So yeah, my thoughts once again go out to the family, the friends, the fans, which I'm one of one of the greatest of all time, Scott Hall, passing away this past Monday at the age of 63. Rest in power, my friend. Bad times don't last, but bad guys do.